In this 9 Kings card tier list, I'm ranking all 75 cards so that you know which ones are the best and the worst right now. So we're starting with the Paladins, guys. The Paladins are a good tank. I would think I put them in decent, because they are better tanks but also worse. You can definitely play them. They are really having only high HP. So there are some frontliners, you can combine them really well with HP cards and also with cards like Farm and Procreate to get more of them. And then you have a really good tank. With scaling HP, you can also give them Carnage to get also some splash damage on death. And then they're like pretty solid for the early game especially. The Soldier, I kind of have to rate bad. Like the problem with the Soldier is they have kind of bad attack and bad defense stats, and that's why they're kind of like not really well rounded, because usually in this game you really want to have either high attack speed, high HP or high damage, because then you can scale really well out of one of the stats, and they have only some of all of it, so they're not good at anything, the soldiers, and that's why I really not liking them too much. They're better units. If you're a beginner, they're still fine to pick off, but yeah. The castle. Yeah, I mean, the castle has to be rated dog shit. I'm sorry, but, you know, like the castle is definitely the worst base of all the kings. So it has to be dog shit. It's awfully scaling. It does nothing on its own. And even if you level it up, it's still really trash for at least 30 years. So it's kind of not worth to really get into this, especially not on higher difficulties. And please buff this castle, because it is just garbage in all regards. Yeah, the farm. The farm definitely has to get rated very good. I actually underestimated the farm quite a bit, but lately I learned to love the farm even more. So the farm is definitely pretty good. If you pick it up early on, it gives you really good scaling of the amounts of units. You can buff it also a bit more with the overwork, which is doing just a bit. And you can just buff especially your frontline tanks really nicely, or also your damage dealers, to just get constantly more units out. So yeah, that's really good, especially early on, as I said, and definitely a strong card in nearly all the builds basically. So really good stable one on the cards. The Scout Tower. The Scout Tower is also, like, honestly kind of bad. Like, I kind of would like that the Scout Tower is, like, good, but it's only single target damage. And on top, it's kind of having also not that much else. Like, it's giving you no utility. It's only good in, like, the first 10 years. And then it's falling off really hard, which is pretty shitty. So, yeah, that's really not one of the good towers in the game. The archers. The archers are actually kind of decent, I would say. They have like no damage but high attack speed. That means you can play them with poison, for example, because poison is scaling out of more attacks. So high attack speed poison build is, I think, decent with archers. But anything else is kind of bad. Like static would be good with archers if static would do anything. But because that's not a thing, you actually can't play them in a lot of builds. And they also are better damage dealer than this, but I think it's still worth it to rate them decent, because you can play them on lower difficulties quite decently. Yeah, and then we have the Steel Code. The Steel Code is definitely at least very good. I'm kind of thinking to maybe even rate it broken. Like, it's giving you like really good, like, I think I have to rate it broken actually. Why? Because it is scaling just too good with the farm together, especially also, or with procreates. Like, any kind of giving more units to the field is really good with steel codes. Why? Because you can give not only one unit more steel code stacks, you can just give it like 9 units or 10 or more. And if you combine the steel code with the cemetery, then also the imps which are spawning out of the cemetery getting the steel codes. So you can kind of multiply literally your steel code stacks and amounts with a good build, and that makes them like pretty broken, right? So yeah, so steel code is definitely the best defense buff you can get. So very, very strong. and you can build it like in symmetry builds, you can build it just in mass unit builds with populate, with procreates, and it's just very good. The blacksmith. I think the blacksmith has to be very good. It is definitely the second best thing to buff the attack of a unit or building. So anything that is starting with high base damage is good to get blacksmithed, because then you are scaling out of your high stats also faster and can scale up to a point where you can just one-shot your opponents basically. Yeah, so really good with all high damage dealers as ballistas, elves for example, really strong just to go. Also with wizards, pretty nice, and just buff it up. You can also obviously also buff up the good bases, which are scaling out of damage a lot. So this also can work out pretty well. And the wild card is, I think, a decent card, like a high decent card. I don't think it's very good, because it's, or like actually, like the wild card is either low very good or high decent. I think in decent it's fine on high, because it is only giving you one level up, but you can level up whatever you want. So it's kind of a high utility card. Especially in the early game, it's really strong to level up anything you want, guaranteed. But the longer the game goes, the less value it will become, because once all your good units are leveled up to max, then this card is like dead. So I think it's really fine in high decent rated, and definitely good early to mid game card in general. Of course, the level ups are really important to just keep your scaling and get your start scaling really fast. Okay guys, so then we are here on Spell King, the Citadel. The Citadel is definitely a pretty good base. I think there are better bases, so I think it's fine to rate it, I guess, on very good. It's definitely better than decent, but is it broken? It got pretty hard nerfed in the last patch. Was before definitely really, really strong. Is it broken is the question, guys? I think it's very good, it's fine. So it can literally just instant kill with the perks everything you want. It's really high attack speed, has really good also decrease you can pick up with the static, for example, to just make a really fast instant kill build. And then you can combine it with the Steel Code on the Spell King just to get the front line, and then you have really strong build. So definitely a really good base with the Citadel. Yeah, and you can play really good builds around this if you combine this with the if you combine it with the Ingenious to level up also beyond level 10. The Wizards are definitely better than the Archers. Are they a really good one? I don't know, like, I think Wizards are a good unit to play, but they're also not crazy good. I think in decent they are fine. Like, they have fine scaling. They, like, maybe we have to put them very good. I don't know. I guess it's fine and decent. Like, they have really good high attack base stats, but they have no special effect, you know? And that's why I think they are not very good, but decent. You can definitely play them in a lot of builds, but they have, like, no really special thing. So I think that's fine. Like, they're solid. The Warlocks are also, yeah, kind of like the Paladins, honestly. They are really good tanks, and that's it. So if you need something tanky in front, that's your boys. And if not, then they're like useless. Yeah, and they're scaling also similar to the Paladins, quite decent. The Combustion, yeah, the Combustion is like definitely broken. Why am I rating Combustion broken, guys? Because if you play a ranged unit, like the Wizards, for example, with high attack damage, if you blacksmith them and you give them then on top the Combustion, then you can literally like splash down the opponents in like 2 or 3 hits on each wave and make a really hard scaling build also onto Endless mode. Combustion is not that strong in the early game, but in the mid to late game, also in Endless mode especially, it's scaling really insanely high. So this is definitely, yeah, like a bit too strong in my opinion. That's why it's broken rated. And yeah, just makes your high damage dealer even going like beyond with giving them AoE damage. The offering is also broken, definitely. Like the offering is kind of like a double-edged sword because it's RNG based. So if you hit the good RNG cards, then this card is like completely busted. But if not, then it's also really bad. But on average, it is giving you definitely two good outcomes, in my opinion. It can scale you up super high, gives you insane tempo spikes. So it's definitely worth to gamble with this, and makes also the Spell King, because of this, like a very good king in general. Yeah, and especially early on, you want to get offerings a lot to scale really fast, but also in the mid to late game, they are still giving you good value. So really strong from early to end game in general. Yeah, the static is pretty dog shit. Like, I was trying to make some static builds also in the latest patches happen actually, but the static is just not good enough as a card. It's just giving you fucking 1 damage, and that's it. Yeah, and if you scale it up on stacks, then it gives you just 1 damage per stack. And that's like really, really not much. So I think static is super like undervalued or like underbuilded because it is also so bad, and it definitely needs a buff. Yeah, and I also tried with static the attack speed builds, but it's just completely useless. Yeah. The Spire is actually also a pretty good card. I want to rate it also in decent a bit higher here. Like, it is, I guess, somewhere here maybe. So the good thing about the Spire is it is like the best healing card in the game. It has insanely high healing, which makes your early game really strong with this, just to out heal the opponents, and your stuff is simply not dying anymore. The downside though is that it deals 0 damage, which makes your fights just really long, and you kind of can't play against other builds which are scaling in like long fights. So this is like a downside. You can make some fun builds with just going kind of pacifist builds with no damage and just defend the Spire, which is fun. So good for memes, but not so great on high difficulty and not good on endless mode. The library is definitely very good. Do I think the library is broken? Nah, I don't know. Like, it's what? Like, if you combine library with the steel codes, this combination I think is broken. But I think the library on its own is just very good, but kind of high very good, I would say. Like, the issue with the library, in my opinion, is that if you have, like, imagine you have like 100 units on the board on one plot, and then you give them like 1 steel code stack. Then they have all 1 steel code stack, so they all can tank basically 100 shots more in total. And if you get then the library down to get 1 more steel code stack per turn, kinda, or per 2 turns, then you kinda can tank 100 shots more per turn, which is kinda really crazy scaling. So with some of the buffs, the library is complete broken together, but with others not so much. So in general, really strong to scale up from early to mid to late game, anything you want. So definitely really good. Yeah, and the shamans are kind of getting rated near to the wizards, because they're like a good pair. You can get the wizards and get the shamans, then the shamans buffing your wizards. It's like really old demo build, and then you have like really good scaling on long fights. And if you then again get the library steel code on top, with some blacksmiths also, then you have a really strong build in general. So you can definitely play this. So coming to greed, the walls. I think the walls are definitely decent. I think they're not better than decent, because they're like only good in the early game. The Greed King will give you more options in the mid to late game to scale way better gold than with the walls. But in the early game, some extra economy is definitely not bad. So why not, guys? Get some money in. So the beacon also has to get rated like near to the blacksmith. If you have someone who is just scaling a lot out of the attack speed, then it's pretty strong. But you need to be a bit careful, because the attack damage is actually capping a lot higher than the beacon. So the beacon value is really strong early on high base attack speed units, like a thief, for example, or like the archers. But later it's kind of falling off because the game will not be able to actually get value out of the high attack speed. So you can play this also with bases like the Citadel, or also especially with the Pagoda, cause high attack speed on base. And then it's pretty good, but you want at some point after like 30 or 40 attacks per second, you kind of want to replace this with a blacksmith, for example, because you will not get more value out of the attack speed further. But to this point, it's really good. Yeah, the palace has to be broken, guys. Like, the palace is just too strong. Like, please nerf palace, guys. Like, it's instant killing your stuff. You can combine it with the beacon again to just make it even stronger. It even gives you money. And if your level is up to level 18, then you get like per turn 400, 500 gold. And you can instant kill all the board. So it's killing everything besides the bosses. And it's printing you money like crazy. So definitely completely busted. The mortgage. Yeah, I think the mortgage has to get rated badly, honestly. Like, it's kind of not really what you want. It's giving you not that much money. You don't really need this usually. So, yeah, not really what you want, guys. Like, it is slow, gives you low money, and just makes your scaling worse. The Midas touch, though, is definitely quite good. I think I would rate it also on decent. It is scaling also in the early game pretty nicely, but you kind of have to make these stacks early on in the game and pretty quickly stack this up with a library. Because it's also falling off in the mid to late to endless game like a lot. Because in the early game you can play the Midas pretty nicely to get money, but the later the game goes, the more you need AoE damage. So if you have no AoE damage on the units, which you can't have unless you play Ballista, then you have to add at some point also combustion or carnage to units. And once you do this, you will lose Midas value because the combustion or carnage is not getting procced on the Midas. So it's only good the Midas really with Ballistas, because they have natural AoE damage. But with anything else, it's just only good in the early game. But in the early game, it's pretty fine. Dispenser. Dispenser is scaling with all the good money builds quite nicely. I think it is only decent though, because as I said, high attack speed builds are just not so strong because the game is basically capping out really early on the maximum attack speed. So any further attack speed you gain will do nothing. And that's why it's only good in early to mid game. There it's really strong, but then it falls off really hard. So you need something else for the further game stages, or you will just get wrecked at some point. And it also doesn't have any AoE damage. Like, AoE damage is usually way stronger and also really needed if you want to play on high difficulty or on high years, or just a strong build. And because this has no AoE damage, it's not that strong. The Thieves. The Thieves are decent in general, I would say, but the more you play and the higher difficulties you play, the worse they get. Like, they are like okay in the first years, but falling off really fast. They are not scaling well at all, so I think we have to rate them kind of bad, because there's so much better stuff in the game. The Mercenaries should get rated definitely decent, maybe even very good now. Like, decent is good. Like, they're like kind of higher decent, I would say, because they need time to scale up. But once you have enough money gathered to really get a good amount of them, with like the money building sources I was talking about, then you literally scale a lot with them. I'm not rating them very good because the game will just crash pretty early at some point because it can't handle the high amount of units. If the game would be able to handle the high amount of units better, then this would be definitely very good. But at the moment, it has to be decent because you can't go really for super high endless mode with it. But it's definitely really fun to play it. If you also combine this with the money build and with the cemetery, then you have like really crazy stuff. Yeah, but the game has to get better on handling high amounts of units to make this go into very good. But then it would be also really very good. Yeah, and the overinvest has to be also very good. Like, it's bad early game, but the longer the game goes, the better it gets. It gets you also good scaling, good tempo spikes once you have some good stats. And then you can just constantly scale up more. So yeah, definitely very good, really good scaling. Doesn't matter which stats you play, you scale up everything, and just really good. Blood King, guys. The imps are, I guess, decent, honestly. You can play them. They're like good tanks. They create like a lot of corpses for you, so you can tank with them. They have low damage, but with cemeteries, they are fine. So why not, guys? The bombers, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I will rate bombers in bad here, but only because, like, the thing is, the bombers are on lower difficulties pretty strong, even busted. But the higher you go on the difficulty, the worse they get. And you can't play them in endless mode, so they're really only good very early on, but then they fall off really hard. So you should not really play them if you want to make good builds. The Pagoda, one of my most hated bases. I have still to give the Pagodas a bit of credit, even though I don't like it so much. There are some build. I have to rate it decent. I'm sorry, guys. I know people will hate me for this, but I don't like Pagoda so much. Pagoda is like really bad on like base stats, what she's doing. Has like high attack speed, but spawning only some imps, and that's it. So the only value you get is that you spawn some imps. And they are not good enough, like, in general, in my opinion. Like, yes, you can beat like the higher difficulties with this, but only if you level up the Pagoda really fast and get the right decrease. And even then, it's just barely working. So they're definitely also better bases, but it's not the worst base. So fine on decent, but I kind of hate it because it's so low value compared to like the Citadel or the Palace, for example. Vampirism has to get also rated at least bad, maybe even dog shit. I'm not even sure if this is like really working with anything so much, because you kind of can't see it nicely. But even if it's working, it's not giving you much value, because Steel Code is just better defense, and the opponents will also kind of one-shot you at some point, so the healing is kind of useless. So yeah, this is like nothing you want to play. The sacrifice is like, the sacrifice I think is only decent because of the following reason. In the early game, the sacrifice can give you actually a lot of good value, because if you play it smart, then you can like level up actually 3 plots at once. And that's really strong and high tempo. But usually you want in the early game to level up one thing really fast and not split your levels so much. And also once you have maxed out your stuff, then the sacrifice is useless. So it is good early game if you play well, but then also the card itself falling off really fast. That's why I think it's only decent. The Carnage. Carnage has to be very good, I think. Yeah, like Carnage gives you, with all HP based builds, really good splash damage, which is really strong in the game. So you can basically give your high HP tanks, which are usually only tanking, damage sources and AoE damage sources. And AoE damage is really strong. So you turn your only tanks into good damage dealer with this, which is pretty valuable. That's why it's on very good. So then we have the Demon Altar. Yeah, like, I have to rate Demon Altar also bad. Like, I don't like it. I think the Demon Altar in itself is like kind of bad, has like a bad bad type of unit. Why? Because with Blood you kind of have to play Imps frontline with Cemetery. And then you need some damage dealer. And the demon is scaling up of all the small stuff you die. Like you kill. but you only get like another tank in the backline and even a bad tank. So I think the Demon Altar is bad because it should be a damage dealer, but it isn't, so it gives you no value. Because if you play Imps plus Demon, then you have just 2 tanks and no damage, and you will get wrecked. So I don't like it. The Cemetery. Yeah, the Cemetery has to get rated broken, I'm pretty sure. Like, the Cemetery is, if you know the mechanics, completely busted. So yeah, but what you need to know is that each unit that is dying is getting also the buffs, like Steel Coat or Combustion or Offering or Carnage. So if you play, for example, like Mass Boars with Carnage and with Steel Coats, and you get then the Cemetery in it, like next to it, then all the imps also have like the Steel Coat and the Carnage, which makes them really tanky and they deal decent damage. And like this, you can really make an insanely crazy frontline wall, which is nearly impossible to get through. And then you need like a base as damage dealer, and then you have endless time to kill the opponents. So, and that's like I don't know if it's intended that the imps getting the Steel Coat stacks out of the dying units, but I think it's definitely too strong. That's why the Cemetery is here and broken. The Mangler. Yeah, I don't like the Mangler. Let's make it short. I think the Mangler needs like a lot of time to scale up. If you scale him up, he's decent, but it's taking way too long. Not good in endless mode, not good in high difficulty, so don't play this guy. Coming to nature, guys. So the cloning is definitely a very good card. The cloning gives you high utility. It's kind of like a wild card, but you can even get more plots out of it. So it is like a better wild card. You can level up whatever you want, or you can even copy just something and then get like it on another plot to then level it up there. So it's kind of duplicating whatever you want, which is high value and just really good. The Museum is like definitely dog shit, guys. I know a lot of people like to play this, but even if you buff this a lot and have like the perfectly long fights you need to scale this up, even then it's not doing much and complete trash. So just don't play this. The trend. Yeah, the trend has to be, I guess, in broken? Maybe very good. Like, I guess in very good, Trent is fine. Because Trent is only broken with poison together. Like, if you give Trent Cauldron to poison it, then it's definitely like completely busted. But if you don't poison it, it is only very good. So it can heal you, it can damage the opponents, it can attack all opponents at once. Really strong. The only thing you have to know is you need to play it with really high HP and really tanky tanks in front. Then you can stack all the area effect in one place to get immortal on your front line while killing the opponents, and that's really strong. Yeah, and one thing I want to also mention is you also can actually put a Cauldron next to your Cemetery to poison the imps which are spawning also. Which I just found out, and poisoning your spawning imps is obviously completely broken, guys. Yeah. Yeah, so the Ore card, which I always pronounce badly, I know. Yeah, like you can play this. It is okay. I think it's fine and decent, but no, I have to rate it badly at least. Like, you can play an attack speed build with this. It's quite slow to scale it up. It can work out, but at some point you will not be able to keep up with the opponents really much because you can't root all of them in one spot. So I think it's not that great and only good on lower difficulty. So the boars. Are actually... The boars, are we rating boars in very good or in decent? I think they should be actually very good because they're the second best tanks in the whole game. I'm rating them in very good because they are really good tanks, which are actually having also pretty high attack speed, So they're also dealing like out of the tanks the most damage on their own. And you can even buff with them also other units. So they give you good synergies. And that's why they're like kind of like tanks, which also can buff your damage dealer to make them stronger. And that's why they are just better than the other tanks we saw so far. The elves are, I guess, high decent. They're like really high damage dealer, so really good base damage stats. If you give them later combustion, they are one-shotting the whole board basically. That's really good. You can play them with the boars together to get also really good early game. But they are kind of better units to play on top, I feel like. So they are indecent. But they are like definitely the best damage dealer we saw so far here. So definitely worth to play them on lower and middle difficulties. On high difficulties, they are too weak. But you also can make them work in endless mode pretty well. That's why I kind of should rate them here high decent. The poison vial. The poison vial is definitely decent. It's weaker than the cauldron, obviously, because it's only for one unit and can't affect buildings. But giving poison to, like, for example, also the boars, or yeah, gives you kind of cemetery value if you play this, or just giving you on the front line, which has usually no damage, really a good amount of damage with the poison stacks, because this is high damage source. If you can make a long fight, which you can do with high tanks, and that's why it's indecent, because it's giving all the tank units also good amount of damage. The forest. The forest, I think, is, I mean, we should rate it all, I guess, on the same rate here, honestly. It's giving you just really good HP scaling, which is definitely good if you play an HP build. So yeah, that's it. If you play HP build with tanks, this is very good. Then you can stack this up. And if not, then not. Easy peasy. And the procrate. Like, the procrate also has to be very good, right? Like, it's giving you just really a lot of tempo. You can combine this with like populate to get even more scaling out of it. It is good in the early game, especially also to get just more amount of units out, which is valuable, but also scales in the mid to late game nicely. It falls off at the super late game in endless mode, but it's a long time till there. So this is definitely also a good pickup kind of always. So now we have to make, I don't know, kind of have to make a bit picture a bit smaller, I guess, because otherwise we don't seeing anything. I guess it's still fine for you also, guys. So let's go like this more. Okay, and then we are actually on a Stone King already. So the trebuchet is definitely decent. Like, it's definitely way better than I was thinking initially. It's good early game damage, but falls off in the mid to late game. This is good as a starter card, but can't scale really nicely. So this is fine just as starting unit. Yeah, and the cold one is definitely completely broken. Like, the cold one, I don't know what the developer was thinking while implementing this in the game. Like, it is just too strong that you are getting one poison stack to 3 units or buildings. You can combine it with the trend, which is complete broken. Even the castle gets good value out of the cauldron. So all AoE units are like completely busted with cauldron. Also, all high attack speed units are completely busted with the poison. And that's why it's unbroken, guys. If you want to have easy ones, then play this and then you bust everything down. The stronghold is, I think, definitely like, the stronghold is definitely way worse than the trend and then the citadel, because it is slower. Is it actually true? That's kind of, I think I'm rating the stronghold decent, because it's a bit slower to scale up than the citadel or the trend or the palace. It's definitely better than the castle. It has no AoE damage, which makes it a lot weaker than the other stuff here. And if you scale it up, which you can make happen, then it's really strong. So that's why it's indecent. You can definitely play this. Pretty fun build. Good like on all runs you want to play. So go for it. The Ballista, also definitely very good. Do I have to rate Ballista broken? I don't think so. But it's definitely very good. And why is it very good, guys? Well, it has AoE damage like it has AoE damage like initially. So this is like the only unit which actually has right on the start AoE damage. And that makes it definitely way better than all the other damage dealers. So it's the best damage dealer in the game. And it just needs mainly damage and some attack speed. And maybe also a bit of survivability that it doesn't get backline shotted with some steel codes. And then this is a really good damage dealer. The only downside to it is that you actually can't play so well really high endless mode runs because it's causing a lot of lag for some reason. But it's definitely really strong to getting played. Yeah, and the only thing, and the second downside kind of is also you can't play this on high difficulties because it's too slow for high difficulties. But like till King 9-5, till King 5, what I want to say, it is definitely pretty good. The Earthworks is definitely a decent card, is it? It can give you some utility, so it should be decent. You can literally just get more value out of it with unlocking plots, and also sometimes it's good to get like a level 3 card back in your hand to be able to get 2 level 1 cards in. So good utility in some specific spots. Yeah. But kind of also a bit niche when you want it. Yeah, the Quarry is also complete broken, by the way. Like, Quarry is complete broken because, like, compare this. Like, the Quarry is doing the same for towers and bases than the Blacksmith is doing, like, for all units. But the Blacksmith has to be adjacent to the thing you want to buff. And this thing can get anywhere placed on the map. Yes, it is only for bases and towers, but you can literally have 10 of them which are buffing 10 of your towers. So it's way more value. It's definitely too strong. It is scaling you to the moon. So this is completely out of anything. The Flame Tower also definitely very good. Like, this has really high attack speed, so cold run it up, and then this gets you insane damage. Yeah, but it's also only good with cold run. Yeah, but if you play it there, it's very good. So let's put in very good here. The walls, like, the walls are decent, honestly. Like, they are giving you better defense than I was thinking. But they're only good if you play them in specific builds when the walls kind of doing their work. So you can just play a Stronghold Cold Run Flame Tower build with walls. This is working. You can also make like a fun build with Spire walls just. But has like really only niche really use. So that's why decent. Yeah, the Trapper. Bye-bye Trapper. Like, they buffed the Trapper on the last patch, but it's definitely still complete dog shit, guys. Let's be honest. Like, this Trapper is just doing not much, placing some shitty traps, which are not doing much damage, and not even all of them getting triggered because they're in the wrong spot. So don't play this, guys. It's just not do anything good. And then we are on King of Progress. Yeah, the Defenders, guys. Like, the Defenders are obviously complete broken. The main reason, the Defenders are like the best tank in the game because they don't only have high HP, they also have a special ability which is really good. The Reflect ability is reflecting all damage to the attacker, which means if this unit has simply more HP than the attacking unit, then it will kill the attacker. And this would be on its own really good. But on top, you can also actually apply all buff effects like poison also on the Reflect. That means if someone attacks this thing and it is poisoned, then also the attacker gets poisoned. And because this thing is super tanky, it will not die fast. So the attacker is literally getting damaged and poisoned, while this thing is just laughing at it. So yeah, completely busted. Please nerf, guys. This is like just a joke. Executioners, I guess, yeah, like they're I guess they are decent. Like, you can play them in the early game, they're fine, they're okay. They're not really that great, so you shouldn't make a whole build around them. But it is like not the worst to get in a start. So the mothership. Like, the mothership is kinda a bit weird. I think I have to rate the mothership low decent out of kinda two reasons. Like, the mothership is either the worst thing in the game, besides the castle of the bases, or the most broken thing in the game. So in the early game, the mothership is complete dog shit, kinda on castle value. But if you play low difficulty and you scale it up, then it will become the most broken base in the game, because it has AoE damage. That means at some point, this will get simply enough damage to one-shot everything that touches its attack radius. And cause it's basically permanently attacking with high attack speed, the opponents will just run into it and instantly die. But it's kind of taking a long time to get this up. So once you have this point reached, it's completely busted. But before this point, it's completely dogshit. So that's kind of the thing. So only kind of good on a lower difficulty, but really good for high endless mod runs. So then we have the reinforce. Like, I think reinforce is also decent. It's kind of niched when you want to play it. Only good up with level up builds. But if you play level up builds, it's completely busted. So in this niche situation, it's definitely good. Yeah, like, honestly, I think the compulator here is bad. I never played it much because it's just too slow, in my opinion. I don't think it's enough tempo to utilize this really. So the overhaul is just better than this thing, basically. So you should play overhaul over this. The reds, guys. I know people loving the reds. I would rate personally the reds decent. Like, the lower the difficulty you play, the more broken this is. But if you play like a medium or high difficulty, then the reds are actually pretty bad because they're just way too slow. Like, you cannot play reds in the early game on any medium to high difficulty because they need time to scale. So you have to play initially something different and then transition into reds. And then they become broken for sure. But it takes like a long time, and they're also lagging and crashing a lot. That's why only in decent tier for me, guys. Yeah, and the overhaul, I think, is also a really good, decent card. It is definitely giving you good value. The downside is that you kind of need also time to scale this up. If you play, the more you play this, the better it becomes. So it kind of relies on, do you have the time to get more out of this or not? If you have some time to play multiple overhauls, they're becoming definitely very good. But if not, then they're like actually pretty bad. That's why I'm decent here, guys. But you can definitely play this, but need also some skill to utilize this well. The converter. The converter has to be at least very good, maybe even broken. I think converter has to be broken, guys. Out of two reasons. Converter is like in the early game decent, honestly, if you just slam it on the board. If you play really tanky frontline, it's getting you always in some value. But the main facts why it's broken, in my opinion, is this thing can solo kill any boss. I don't know why, but it's dealing way too much damage to the bosses. And if you go for high attack speed build, then this can also literally instantly kill all boards. And that's why it's definitely broken, guys. Yeah. And then we have the precision. Like, the precision is, I think, also like maybe in dog shit. or in bad. Like, it's just giving you crit damage on top. Crit damage is not really what you want or need in anyone, so it's more of a meme, honestly. You can play this, but it's like a really bad buff for your board, because if you get combustion, then you just don't need the precision, honestly. So there's no need for it in the game, basically. And then we're coming now, last but not least, to the rainbow cards, which are like the strongest cards in the game, or at least some of them. And the first one here is the Shrine. So the Shrine is actually giving you just some good value. I actually don't know. Like, let's make the Shrine later, actually. Like the Echo Form, maybe we pick first here. Echo Form is definitely very good. I don't think it's really broken, but the thing is, it also depends. Like, the Echo Form is copying also all buffs actually of your plot. So if you have a really strong plot, then Echo Form is really strong. But if you have no strong plot, then Echo Form is dog shit. On average, it will definitely give you good value, so I think it should be in very good chest. Yeah, so the Ogre, I think the Ogre is decent. Like, the Ogre gives you good value. It's definitely better on lower difficulty than on higher. It's just getting good stats, so you can play it, but it's not the greatest card in the game, and especially for a rainbow card, I think it's a bit weak. What definitely is not weak, guys, is a Temple. Like, the Temple has to get rated super broken, because it is even better than the Quarry, most likely. 10% buff to one random thing is literally like 5 times more buff than the Blacksmith and Beacon stuff. So you have to play a bit around it, that you have no shit units which don't want the buffs. But if you play just units on the board which are benefiting from the buffs a lot, then the Temple is like completely busted. That's why it's rated in broken, guys. So the Gigantify. Gigantify, I think, is also definitely very good. It is basically like another, it's like an additional Feast or Sharp Blades in one card even. So you can combine this with all cards which are scaling out of Forest or Blacksmith really nicely. Gives you really high tempo. The downside is you can only play it once, while you can copy the temple with cloning, for example, to duplicate it. That's why it's really good in just very good. So what else do we have, guys? The Slime. Yeah, the Slime, I think the Slime is decent. Like, you can make some interesting builds with it, but it takes a long time to scale it up. So it's only good on lower to medium difficulty. You can make some really fun builds, but it's also crashing quite fast. So that's why I feel like it's just decent. The X-Ray. Yeah, like, let's be honest, guys. Like, the X-Ray is pretty... Like, I think X-Ray is deserved in dog shit. Why? Because for a rainbow card, it definitely does not nearly enough. Like, it's, I think, the worst rainbow card we got. Like, just giving you some level ups is like really bad for the fact that you can see this card the earliest on level 11. So, I mean on year 11. And on year 11, you don't want to have just 3 level ups. Like, it's basically a sacrifice. But it's a rainbow card. So it is kind of considered to need to do more than this. Yeah, then we have the Scapegoat. I think the Scapegoat is also decent. It's a fun little meme card, in my opinion. It's not really that good on a real one, but you can make some fun shit happen with this on getting some more pacifist money builds. So definitely good to have fun with. So then we have the Shrine. The Shrine gives you level ups. So the Shrine has to be very good also. It is also a bit more niche, or depending on the build you play. But if you're benefiting a lot from the levels, which you usually do, then if you find this early, you can literally get just really efficient use for your money to get additional levels, which is enhancing your scaling. If you don't play reds, then this will fall off once you have everything leveled up. But till this point, it gives you high tempo, so I think it deserves to be in very good. So, and then we have the Patronage here. I think the Patronage has to be also in very good, in my opinion. Like, the thing is, it's a one-time use card, but it gives you 3 levels to your base. And something that gives you, for one card, 3 level ups has to be very good. But it's not broken because you can't duplicate this card in your hand, kind of. Yeah, but it's definitely giving you a big tempo spike. So if you need tempo, it's really good. But it's not scaling you over time. So kind of depends a bit what you want. So then we have here the Raisin. So the Raisin gives you basically, for the exchange of 1 plot, 1 more decree. It is, in my opinion, this is like decent, because it's really situational. Like, if you have like, if you play, like, it's depending on the build. Some builds don't want to get plots erased. If you play high endless mode, then you don't want this. But if you play like a high difficulty run and you want tempo cards, then this is really strong. If you also have maybe a bit of money for rerolls, because getting an additional decree is high tempo, but it depends on what you are playing for a run. But can definitely be really strong. So, and then we have here the Unify. Like, I think Unify is a really interesting card, but has like really not many use cases. I think that's only decent because it is just kind of too niche. Like, you can make some crazy builds with mercenaries or with slimes also, when you just make one big plot and then you put another big plot next to it on unit amounts, and then you combine them together. But it's just rarely happening in a run, really. So the idea is really cool, but I think it's really hard to pull this off. And on high difficulty or on endless mode runs, it's also really hard to do this. But I kind of want to give credit to developers for making a cool idea. And then we are having left the haste. The haste, honestly, the haste. Like, I don't know, like, do I have to rate this dog shit, guys? Like, the thing is, the haste is giving you like really only move speed. And move speed is kind of doing not really anything in this game. The only use case for haste is to put this like literally onto the flame towers, because then they can run faster to the front and deal a bit more damage. But for a rainbow card, I think this is also really way too weak. But just because haste and move speed doesn't benefit your fights. Like, if the move speed stat would be like more utility or would do something really to get better fights for you, then this could be really good. But at the moment, there's just no use case, guys. So that's why this is rated in dog shit 2, guys. Okay, that's the tier list, guys. Sub the channel if you like it. Tell me in the comments what you think about it. And let's see when the next tier list comes out.